So it's my pleasure to bring out our next speaker, Keith Johnson. Now, Keith is the Director of DoD Solutions and Architecture at Amazon Web Services. Now, I've known Keith for more than 20 years when we both worked at Lockheed Martin and Leidos. And as I said a couple of years ago, when I introduced him for Data for Data number 2, prepare to learn, okay? Because Keith is really one of the smartest, most knowledgeable people that I've ever worked with. So I said, prepare to learn. So please join me in welcoming Keith to the stage.
Thank you for having me here today. So Jeff gave a little bit of, he mentioned the dark side of every silver lining. I'm just gonna give you the silver lining. That's what I'm gonna do today. And so maybe Jeff should have gone after me to kind of temper things, but you'll hear in a second how bullish I am on AI, and particularly agentic AI. So without further ado, Andrew Ng, most of you may have know him as a former Stanford professor, well recognized throughout the AI, and he's on our board of directors as well. And he stated that just like electricity, right, AI is going to transform every industry in the next several years. Now we all can relate to electricity, right? It's almost like invisible now, but thinking back 100 years ago, how much it really transformed how we live, how we move, how we work. Factories were rewired, physical processes were changed, and yet we now rarely ever even think about electricity, except when it's not available, right? Andrew Ng made this statement almost a decade ago. And now with the explosion and interest in generative AI and also now kind of agentic AI, this statement is more relevant than ever. Okay, so I'm just going to back up a little bit. What is this agentic AI? What is AI? Just kind of go back to the basics a little bit. Why is this different, right? So there's been 3 kind of critical evolutions in AI over the last couple decades. The first is when we moved, when we started with kind of traditional machine learning. That's with, we had simple inputs that were mapped to simple outputs. Like predicting housing prices based on kind of square footage, right? Then we moved to kind of deep learning, which revolutionized the field by processing complex inputs like images or video or sound or just lots of different inputs. And they processed that through neural networks, and they delivered, but yet they delivered a simple classification. And now the breakthrough has come with foundation models, where we can handle both complex inputs and complex outputs. And these models leverage kind of 3 accelerating factors. One is the exponential growth in computing power. One is the vast internet scale of training data. Jeff mentioned that sometimes that data is not copyrighted or it may be plagiarized, but that the internet is feeding these models. The entire internet is going into them. And then also there's been some architectural changes, transformers models in particular, for how you wire up these AI models has allowed for understanding and kind of distillation of information into knowledge at scale. And these just aren't incremental improvements. It's a fundamental shift from kind of narrow prediction to kind of general reasoning ability. And this is just fascinating. Okay, now what is an agent? Let's break this down to understand what makes an agent tick. Obviously, you're familiar with chatbots and entering in questions and getting answers, but the agents take this to the next level. At its core, an AI agent is an autonomous kind of software entity that can process your requests in natural language and take coordinated actions to accomplish your goals. So the first is the user request at the top left. And that's where it all starts. It takes your natural language prompts or some external kind of system input into that as a request. And the agent needs to understand this. And so what it does is it feeds that request to, we'll call it the agent brain. And that is where the large language model is acting as the orchestrator. And it uses chain of thought reasoning, reflection, and even self-criticism, and it can backtrack if it realizes that it's going down the wrong path. So you think of the agent brain as kind of the decision-making center, but you need more, right? To be an agent, you need more than just that decision-making. You need some additional tooling. One, you need an execution plan. You got to know what do you want to do, and you want to follow, whether it's rules that an enterprise might have. It may be just kind of a process that you've already mapped out. So that's the execution plan, and so that's what. So the brain kind of follows where we are in the execution plan, checking back with the execution plan to make sure we're on track. We also need memory. Because you need to understand, obviously, where you are in the execution plan. You also need to understand various contexts. We have both long-term and short-term memories. And that is used, and it could be anything from like memories of my chat history to internal system logs to previous actions, observations, things like this. It allows the agent to learn from experience and to maintain context. Okay? And then you need the tools. And tools that's really where the magic happens, because an agent can then search the web. It can access enterprise databases or APIs. It can query databases. It can interact with other systems. And eventually, that really is how it becomes a part of a digital workforce or a digital entity. And so what makes this powerful is when you build agents, you're granting them access to data sources and tools to act on your behalf or in a scoped way on your behalf. And you can think of it as a digital worker that never sleeps, never needs to eat, and it has instant access to everything that you would have as an entity. I'm not going to talk about the cybersecurity constraints here. Jeff kind of alluded to those. We need to deal with those, but this is the future. The future is going to be how we integrate these agents into enterprises and workforces. So what's the result? We have an autonomous system, right, that can understand complex requests. It can plan multi-step processes and solutions. It can learn from experience, and it can execute tasks across your entire digital infrastructure. So it's not just automation, it's really intelligent orchestration. Now, automation. We've been thinking and dealing with automation for decades. 50 years we've been thinking about automation. It's not a new concept, but what's made the previous generations of business automation ultimately fail at scale is their brittleness. It's really their inability to handle kind of situations that they weren't explicitly programmed for. So like, for instance, in the early days of expert systems, systems like Digital Equipment Corporation's XCore system, they automated computer configurations, but they were using like thousands of hand-coded rules. And they worked they were very successful initially, but as new hardware or new business rules were introduced, they couldn't adapt. And so they ultimately started to fail more and more. And then, like in the 90s and 2000s, we had business process modeling. And again, it worked well for structured workflows, but it struggled with exceptions. Any unexpected customer requests, they would often halt the automated processes, and they would require kind of human intervention to move forward. In the 2010s, even up to today, there's still a discussion around robotic process automation, or RPA, or bots, as they're sometimes called. Now, they have, in some ways, revolutionized some repetitive office tasks, but they're still fairly fragile. And one company's report from different companies have indicated that up to 20 to 40% of the RPA bots are failing just because things change. Nothing's ever static. Could be a website, the form changes from one location to another, and the bot doesn't know where to go, right? So the breakthrough with agentic AI, it's instead of hard coding every possible scenario, these systems now, they're able to reason, and they're able to encounter novel situations, adapt to changing conditions, and learn from experience. So it's really eliminating the fundamental brittleness that has limited every previous generation of business automation. So this chart, it tells it's kind of a remarkable story that we're witnessing right now. We are all familiar with the traditional Moore's law. And so for decades, we've lived, so Gordon Moore, his prediction, which is basically computing power would double every 18 months, 18 to 24 months. And this has been basically the drumbeat of technology progress for the last few decades. It's what's really powered our current, our existing digital revolution. And in and of itself, it's amazing, all right? But we're in we'll call it the Gen AI acceleration right now. And this is changing quite rapidly, where the cost of compute inference is halving every 4 to 6 months. Not 18 months, 24 months, 4 to 6 months. So that's 4 to 6 times faster than traditional Moore's law. So think about what that means. In the time it used to take for one doubling of a compute power, we're now seeing 4 to 6 doublings of AI inference. And so the computational resources that would cost $1,000 like a year ago may cost $15 to $20 today. And we're seeing that continue. So and it's not just about cheaper chips, right? It's about algorithmic breakthroughs. It's about specialized AI hardware. And it's about kind of massive scale efficiencies. And they're all kind of compounding together right now in this unique time. And so companies like NVIDIA, Google, Meta, AWS, they're essentially kind of rewriting the rules of computational economics. And here's the kicker. The acceleration is what's making agentic AI systems economically viable. And tasks that were computationally expensive, like even last year, are now kind of running accessible on your laptop. So it's not just about kind of Moore's law economics. It's about this kind of new kind of Gen AI acceleration, kind of rocket ship phase of computational progress. And we don't know how long it's going to last, but it's continuing, and it's pretty amazing. So here's another kind of way to think about this. In a paper titled Measuring AI Ability to Complete Long Tasks, it's come up with a novel metric that they introduced. It's called the 50% task completion horizon. And this is so the time it takes a human to typically complete a task can an AI agent complete that task with at least a 50% success rate, right? The key finding shows that AI's ability to handle longer tasks has been exponentially increasing over the past 6 years. So with capabilities doubling approximately every 7 months. So current AI systems can complete tasks requiring humans for up to about 59 minutes. So a human task that would take 59 minutes, an AI system now can complete that 50% of the time. So that's a doubling of what it was a year or two ago when we had GPT-4. Okay, and this trend is gonna, if this trend continues, and there's no kind of indicators that it's not gonna continue, the research projects that an AI will autonomously complete a week-long task by 2027 and 2028, and then a month-long project that a human would do between 2029 and 2030, right? So even if those are off by a couple years, we're talking not 5 years or so before a month-long task that a human could do, an AI system might be able to complete that 50% of the time. And that's pretty incredible. Okay, before we dive into kind of the implications of this accelerating, AI accelerating capabilities, we need to understand kind of a little bit more about the economic principles that kind of we're going to shape what happens here. And it's one way to think about it is Jevons paradox. Anybody heard of Jevons paradox? All right, so it's named after a 19th century economist, William Stanley Jevons. And this paradox reveals kind of a counterintuitive truth. Okay? When we make something more efficient, we often end up using more of it, not less. Okay, and so Jevons first observed this with coal in the 1860s. As steam engines became more efficient at burning coal, you'd expect coal consumption to decrease. Right? Wrong. Right? Well, what do we know? The improvements in steam engine efficiency drove steam engine usage across many, many more industries than it was originally envisioned. And so coal consumption ended up increasing. And so why is this crucial for AI? So we're witnessing the most dramatic efficiency gains in computational history. AI tasks that cost thousands of dollars right before now are costing less and maybe projected to cost pennies. So we would think that maybe the AI usage would go down, but when we make something cheaper, it creates entirely new business models that now are economically viable for the first time. And so this is why understanding Jevons' paradox is essential. The real AI revolution isn't about doing the same things more efficiently. It's about unlocking completely new categories of business that were never economically possible before. Never economic. So that is the hard counterintuitive thought here. It's not about efficiency gains. It's about unlocking possibilities in new business models and new ways to work. So when AI becomes as cheap as electricity, we don't just get better versions of existing companies. We get fundamentally new types of companies that couldn't exist before this era. So just like electricity transformed every industry a century ago, the AI efficiency explosion is following that similar pattern. When a transformative technology becomes cheaper, we don't use less of it. We find entirely new ways to use more of it. Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, we're a large investor in Anthropic along with Google and a lot of other companies. So he captured, I think, the magnitude of what's coming with this powerful phrase, a country of geniuses in a data center. So think about that and what that means. We're not just talking about kind of better software or faster computers. We're talking about the equivalent of an entire nation of brilliant minds, millions of them, working 24/7 in perfect coordination, never getting tired, never needing breaks. So at AWS, we believe this vision is rapidly becoming reality. We believe there soon will be billions of agents in the world, not thousands or millions, but billions. And they're going to be working alongside humans across every industry imaginable. These won't be just simple chatbots handling kind of basic queries. But we're talking about sophisticated agents that can orchestrate multi-step processes, understand complex context, make nuanced decisions, and take coordinated action. So picture this, in a consumer setting, agents managing your entire digital life. Jeff mentioned Copilot reading his email. That's just the scratching the surface of what's going to be possible. In enterprise environments, agents are handling everything from consumer relations to supply chain optimization. In industrial settings, agents are coordinating manufacturing, logistics, quality control, all in real time. The transformation is going to be profound. Instead of humans being the bottlenecks in business processes, we'll have armies of digital workers that can scale instantly and can work around the clock. And they can seamlessly collaborate with both humans and other agents. When Dario here talks about a country of geniuses in a data center, He's describing a future where computational intelligence becomes as abundant and accessible as electricity. And we're already seeing this right now with just the ease of using chatbots, but this is just the start. It's accessible to anybody. And so just as electricity transformed every aspect of human civilization, agentic AI will fundamentally reshape how we work, innovate, and solve problems. So the question isn't whether the future will arrive, it's how quickly will we be able to adapt to harness the unprecedented scalability. We're seeing this at Amazon in a few different ways. So after working with tons of customers, we're seeing agentic AI kind of manifest itself in a few areas. One area is how enterprises interact with and delight customers. So this is where agentic AI transforms the entire customer experience. We're seeing agents that can understand complex customer needs, navigate multiple systems autonomously, and deliver kind of personalized solutions at scale. So Amazon.com, we have a feature it's in beta right now called Buy For Me, in which it's an agentic capability that can complete transactions across the entire internet, not just within Amazon's platform. I'll show you a video of it in a second. Area 2, this is kind of how can enterprises improve internal processes in operations, right? So this is where companies are building custom AI workflow agents to obviously streamline operations. They're kind of now have financial reporting that used to take days can now be done in minutes because we don't need to worry about humans collating data or accessing systems or then synthesizing that together. Demand forecasting is becoming kind of more real-time and adaptive. Incident management, so that's getting automated end-to-end now, so you don't have as many handoffs between different entities or organizations along the way. And it's all around delivering more real-time insights to become more aware of what's really happening across enterprise. The third area is how can enterprises innovate and build faster? And I think this is really where it's a lot of magic's going to be happening over the next couple of years, because this is where agentic AI is accelerating the pace of innovation. So development cycles are compressed from months to weeks to maybe even days. So legacy code, that modernization that used to take years. I mean, I can give you many examples of years long kind of modernization efforts. Agentic AI can push this down to weeks. And so it's really accelerating how we're thinking about leveraging agentic AI to do completely new things. So the key insight here is it's not just an efficiency play. It's becoming a competitive advantage and how you can use this to go faster and to innovate more for your customer base in the market that you are in or that you're going to be participating in. Now let me show you a couple examples of kind of really how we're thinking about kind of interfaces and what AI is going to look like. So we have okay, I'm going to show this video in a second.
Thanks
here.
for calling Leonardo Hotel. How can I help you today?
It's not actually showing on the video.
Hi there. I'm an AI agent calling on behalf of Boris Starkov. He's looking for a hotel for his wedding. Is your hotel available for weddings?
Oh, hello there. I'm actually an AI assistant too. What a pleasant surprise. Before we continue, would you like to switch to Gibber Link mode for more efficient communication?
So what's happening here? So two AI agents start communicating through the spoken word until the moment they realize that they're both agents, and then they switch to a much more compressed, efficient communication mechanism that's optimized for that agent-to-agent communication. So it is a little bit kind of cheeky to see kind of these two agents talking to each other, but it is a preview of a fundamental shift. AI agents don't need pretty user interfaces. They need efficient kind of data exchange protocols. Here's another example I'll just kind of play this for a second to kind of highlight the bottleneck. These are two websites. They're basically the same, very, very similar. One is the one on the left has been kind of optimized for agent interactions, and the one on the right is the original one. And so when an agent is trying to interact with this website, I think it's to book a flight, the one on the left, it could book a flight in 16 seconds because it was optimized for that interaction. The one on the right, the same AI agent, the same model, the same capabilities, struggled for 5 minutes and then ultimately failed. So what's the difference? The internet was built for humans, not machines. The UX was in particular. And so every time we made a UX improvement to the internet, whether that's kind of dynamic loading, pop-ups, kind of beautiful, they're really nice, clean interfaces that look pretty to us, CAPTCHA systems, all this stuff, they create friction for AI agents when they're trying to parse and understand kind of where to interact with our sites. So kind of think what this means. We don't need to wait necessarily for better AI models to unlock kind of massive productivity gains. We can get improvements right now, 10x, 100x improvements in some cases, just by making existing kind of digital infrastructure and interfaces more AI friendly. So the challenge isn't just technical, it's architectural. We're moving from a world where humans are the primary interface users to ones where AI agents will likely be the dominant consumers of our systems. And this means we'll need to design kind of dual mode kind of interfaces, human-friendly when people are involved, and then something like the Gibberlink system when we realize that that the agents need to access that information. So it's not about just making AI smarter, it's also about making our digital infrastructure agent native. And so this is the Buy For Me video that I alluded to. And so in this case, it's an AI agent that can autonomously purchase products kind of from non-Amazon websites on behalf of customers. And how it works is basically you're searching for a product on Amazon, on the Amazon app. You might see an item from an external retailer under kind of shop brands, brand sites directly. And so what it does is if you say click to buy, it will actually navigate to the brand's website. It will fill out your information securely, enter in all your shipping information, payment details, and complete the entire purchase kind of transaction autonomously. And so it's not about kind of automation, it's about intelligent orchestration. Now, obviously, this is about a shopping website, but the idea is the same. Agents are going to be able to navigate complex user interfaces that it's never seen before and be able to accomplish those correctly. And that's kind of what we're thinking about, where AI is eliminating kind of all those steps that a human would need to do that really aren't value added. They're just easy for humans to navigate, but they're not adding a lot of value. They're just causing friction. And so here's the kind of the strategic insight here. So it demonstrates the AI, how AIs can create value is just like that, eliminating friction from complex workflows. It's enabling us to move from to speed up those workflows and get out of the mode of handoffs and interfacing with other systems or organizations just because that's how we've always built them. And so what's the lesson for workplace productivity here? Agentic agents can take over these complex multi-step processes that traditionally required lots of human navigation. And they don't just assist, they're actually doing the full end-to-end tasking while maintaining safety and control. Like if we're doing this on behalf of a customer, we have to keep data security, privacy, and make sure that transaction's happening correctly every time, just because of the liability that would be involved. Here's another example. It's demonstrating, kind of showing an AI agent creating kind of a business report from scratch, complete with charts, analysis, kind of actionable recommendations, kind of all, this is all focused, right, this in particular is focused on how to increase customer conversions on a specific interaction. So the AI agent's generating all the visualizations, writing the commentary, even suggesting the next steps. It's pulling together all the data. It's identifying the patterns, presenting the insights in a very professional format that would typically take a human analyst hours or more likely days to complete. And so think of, right now at least, think of Gen AI as kind of a proficient intern. Incredibly capable, fast, sometimes thorough, maybe not always, right? Think of the 50% case, right? Still requiring some oversight right now. So you wouldn't let an intern, kind of directly interact with, an executive stakeholder without, certainly without reviewing their work and making sure everything is okay. And so the same principle that's what applies right now. It's kind of that 50% rule. AIs, they can produce, impressive first drafts. And that can conduct initial analysis. They can even spot patterns initially, but human judgment is still critical. I've used this research tool myself many times, and it is amazing what it can deliver. But as a domain expert in any field, you're going to be able to spot some weaknesses to the arguments, to the data they were used, and you need to guide it from there. So again, not just automation, it's really intelligent augmentation. The AI is handling all the heavy lifting of the data processing, the visualizations, the initial analysis, and then formulating some strategic next steps. So the result is that what used to take days with the AI and human collaboration can just take hours, maybe even less than an hour now. And you're going from collecting data and doing the processing to actually being able to talk about the strategic decisions because of the analysis, much faster. And so now the question is, how is the agentic kind of revolution impacting AWS, right? So in short, it's fundamentally changing the pace of innovation. Look at some of these numbers here. 3 weeks to build a system we call QCLI. 4 weeks to build an agentic coding experience. 6 weeks to build GitLab Duo. And these aren't just simple chatbots. These are sophisticated agentic systems that understand context. And we're building these things not in the typical quarters, maybe a year quoting that we would typically get. We're doing them in weeks. And so, what's enabling some of this acceleration is these agentic coding frameworks, able to handle new routines, and even assist with kind of the documentation of all this. So Dario Amodei's quote, "Country of geniuses in a data center," this is what we're talking about. When agents can work 24/7 to basically deliver and develop for a company. The companies are able to do so many more things. Some additional numbers, just real quick here. We're seeing basically the middle quote metric here. We're saving not just like months of developer months, 4,500 developer years is what we're seeing from an efficiency perspective. And so it's like you're adding that many new developers to your company overnight. And it's not like you would, because you're not doing things more efficiently now, you're able to just do things that you would never dream you could ever do before with these additional capabilities, as well as just saving tons of money. And so thinking about the startups right now, look at a couple of these startups. In AnySphere, fastest growing SaaS company in history. 100 to 150 employees reached $500 million in annual revenue. Lovable, 8 months with 45 employees. They're managing 2.3 million active users and 180,000 paying subscribers. So that's one human supporting 51,000 users, right? And they're doing this because of their ability to build their company using agentic processes that can scale up very, very quickly. And so at this trajectory, we're rapidly approaching the point where a single entrepreneur with the right agentic AI infrastructure could build the first unicorn company, the first billion-dollar company on their own. We're close with that with Lovable, with 45 employees, but we're getting close. Nick Bostrom, professor at Oxford University, he did capture something profound, and I've kind of alluded to a little bit. Humans are great at asking questions, but agentic AI is good at answering them. And so we saw that with the agent creating the report, the intern. So even if an agent can create that report and it's very solid, kind of the strategic decisions coming from that report, it's still going to be a human, because it's a human world, and the future is going to be defined by how we take AI and make the decisions, the strategic decisions to move forward, because only humans can ask the right questions. And that comes down to every human has that responsibility to ask the questions. But the days of us being the best ones to answer the questions, or at least answer the questions with the data that can be collected, that's not going to be our jobs anymore. That's going to be the agentic AI. And so the magic is going to happen when we're able to combine the strengths of what humans can do very well plus what agentic systems can do very well. We focus on the what and the why, and let the agentic systems handle the how. And so what this means is we're kind of moving from builders to orchestrators. So in the builder era, humans, as the primary builders of businesses, we wrote the code, we created the reports, we created the systems to do the work. But now we're moving into the orchestration era, where AI is handling the execution, and then humans are evolving to be the orchestrators, like the architects. The architects of a building. They're not actually constructing the building. They're creating what it should look like, how it should meet the intent of the space. But then once they're done, others are going to build it. They're going to put the bricks together, and that's where we feel the agentic AI is going to do most of the execution. This is a busy chart. I'm not going to go over all of it, just given our time constraints. But what are the critical skills, right, that you need to have to be effective orchestrators, right? First and foremost, it's going to be domain knowledge and expertise, right? So pick a domain, whatever that is, become an expert in it. Let the AI do the execution, but don't be afraid to get your hands dirty, right? Humans are good at failing in some ways. And we tend to think of failure as a problem, but failure is where you learn. Failure is where you understand actually how things work. And we, celebrating failure, which allows us to learn, is going to be much more important as we go forward. Don't be afraid to try things and potentially fail at them, because that's the experience, the domain experience, to know where the sharp corners are that will be very, very valuable. It'll likely be your most valuable asset. I think I could be very honest by saying, I've learned the most every time from where I failed in the past. And so keep learning, keep looking for opportunities to extend yourself and to learn in specific domains or areas that matter to you, that are interesting to you. I'm kind of, in this time, go over this fairly quickly. We're really kind of seeing companies that are accelerating with agentic AI. It is a large investment that they're making right now. But what we're seeing is that by 2027, 2028, the inflection point is if you aren't investing in AI and agentic AI to transform your workflows, the gap, the competitive gap, is going to continue to grow. It's going to grow in a couple ways. One, talent migration. Talent's going to migrate to the companies that are innovating and that are adapting quickly. Margin compression. Companies that are adapting with agentic AI are going to be much more efficient, and so they're going to have much more dollars to spend on future innovations. And then just really the capability gap is going to grow. By 2031, we believe that kind of agentic native organizations are going to just operate at speeds and scales that are going to be very difficult for traditional companies to match. So it's not really about whether to transform; it's whether you want to do it now, or you want to become a second or third kind of follower in the trend, because the window is going to be narrower as we move forward. At AWS, we have tons. If you're really just want to start this journey, wherever you are, AWS has tons of free kind of training for you, workshops, everything. I usually, over the weekend, I'm kind of a nerd. Over the weekend, I'll just pull up an Amazon training capability and I'll go through it myself. I love working at AWS because I learn every week. I'm learning something new. But we don't just hoard this knowledge. There's tons of information that we provide to other folks. And so if you're interested, come see me afterwards. I can point you in the right direction. Scott Galloway, some of you probably know Scott. AI is not going to take your job. It's going to be somebody using AI that might take your job, right? So the choice is very simple from my perspective. Learn to use AI agents. Learn what they're doing, where they are, how you can leverage them in whether you're a student, professor, in an industry somewhere. Keep up with this. Learn how you can leverage this in the domain sphere that you currently are in, and just continue to grow with it. Future, I believe, is agentic. I've tried to present some evidence here for you. I don't believe this is a prediction. I think this is happening now, right? Andrew Ng, I believe, was right. AI is truly becoming the new electricity. It's invisible, and yet it's powering everything we're doing. It's increasingly doing this every week, every month. Future is agentic, and you can start right now, and I encourage you to do so. Thank you for your time. Thanks.